It's funny how religion often finds itself in opposition to science. If we are to believe in God, well, the first thing that we point to that makes us think that is the vast expanse of beauty and of space and of nature. So many creations beg the existence of a creator. That makes perfect sense. Now, if I were to try and live my life to become as close to God as I possibly could, well, the first thing that I need is to speak the language of God, the Word of God. And wouldn't it make sense that the first way to speak, most fluently with God would be to understand the interworkings of this world and of nature and of space and of the universe? Wouldn't that be a good place to start if I were to sit down and have a conversation with God, to understand how this world works? He is the creator. So if I were to understand the creations, to give my life to the work of humbly understanding and studying his creations, doesn't that seem like that would be the first and most important work of this life? The full appreciation of his creation, of his world, to understand the nature of it and the laws that govern it. That seems like a pretty good place to start for the language and the Word of God, and that's what science is. Science is truly the closest thing that we might have to the Word of God, to understand how his nature, how his universe works. So why is it that religion, which claims to prioritize a relationship with God, always finds itself in contention with science? I'll tell you why. It's because religion makes incredibly bold truth claims that by the nature of being divine has to defend. And defending a point is never where you want to be as a humble student of a subject that you don't fully understand. Science is the most accountable thing that we have in this world, and religion is the least accountable thing that we have in this world. Science always will buckle its theories to proof and evidence and somebody who might be able to disprove it through testing and analysis. Religion, on the other hand, in the face of being objectively false, will stick to its guns, dig in its heels, and claim heresy, and claim all sorts of things to those that might try to say, hey, I don't think that's right. One is prideful. One is fully rooted in pride because it loses its legitimacy when it makes a truth claim that can be disproven, while the other is truly superior because it is humble in its nature. Science says, I welcome you to disprove me because we are mutually trying to get closer to the truth. So if this theory that we've posited turns out not to be true, great. That is a win-win situation because being right is not what matters in science. Moving closer to the truth is what matters in science. And so if you ask me, there is nothing closer to the true Word of God than science. If God exists, if we are to indulge our natural curiosity, does a creator exist? Is there a higher power? It only makes sense that the language of God and that the pursuit that we have in this life is one that is scientific, one that is of study and of humble guessing and checking and proving wrong and getting closer to the truth and trying to understand the nature, the reality, and the laws of this world, of this universe. Why are we still so caught up in an old book that is so outdated, so antiquated, that not one believer in the world can defend it in its entirety, that has to cherry pick truths from it? We need to put it in the past. We need to understand that the real pursuit, that if there is a God, the Word of God is in the works of science. And we need to prioritize that, whether you believe in God or not. It is the most holy pursuit that we have in this world. And it is solely responsible for all of the amazing things that we've developed, all of the incredible technology, the reason that humans have been able to live longer and expand as they have and reproduce and have families and be safe and be lifted from poverty, it is all thanks to science, to humbling ourselves, to improving. We need to put religion in the past. It is literally the largest obstacle to our growth as a collective. It's a great starting place to make us think outside the box and to do some sandbox thinking, some experimental thinking about what God might be, what higher powers might be. But to do it in a sandbox where it's claiming to be the truth and that your role quickly becomes defending it, apologizing for it, and using intense bias, literally practicing intense bias to make it work, pushing the triangle piece through the square hole, well, that's when your efforts get lost. And the years of your life that you spend in study of it and in apologizing and defending it are lost and are wasted and are fruitless. It's a great place to start. It's a great myth that if you're a kid, it helps you start to think, but you need to age out of it. We all need to age out of it. So we should reference it, and we should appreciate the community that it builds and the spirit that it builds, but the truths of it are holding us back. We need to use it as a motivator to pursue the higher work, which is science. Food for thought.